In this video, we're going to learn about imaginary numbers, how we're going to multiply, how we're going to add, subtract, and divide imaginary numbers and complex numbers. So to multiply imaginary numbers or an imaginary number by a real number, it is important first to express the imaginary numbers in terms of I. So for example, we're going to solve now for an imaginary numbers multiplied by a real number. Example, we have 54 times 2i. So therefore, you're going to multiply first the real numbers, which is 54 times 2 times I. So therefore, we will have now as 108i. Next, for example, we have 3i times 6i. So what will we do for this one? So here we have 3 times 6. 3 times 6 times we have now I times I, which is equals now to 18i squared. Remember, when you're going to multiply, we have m exponent times n. We will have now m plus n, which is now you're going to add the exponent. And then remember that in the pattern or in the process of imaginary number, the exponent, we follow the 4 patterns, right? So therefore, I squared now, I squared is equal to negative 1. So therefore, our final answer now is equals to 18 times negative 1, which is equal to negative 18. Another example. For example, we have 4i times square root of negative 5. So we all know that if it is a negative, we have radicals. We need to make it in the imaginary, we have numbers. That's the reason why we invented imaginary numbers. So therefore, what you're going to do now, for square root of, for square root of negative 5, for square root of negative 5, that will be equal to square root of negative 1 times square root of 5, which square root of negative 1 is equal to I. So therefore, we can have now as 4i, 4i times 5i, which gives us equal to 5 times 4 is 20, I squared, and I squared, I squared is equal to negative 1. So therefore, we can have now as 20 times negative 1, which is equal to negative 20. Another example. Let's see if we have square root of negative 3 times square root of negative 7. What will be the result? So therefore, we will have now as I square root of 3 times I square root of 7. So we get as I squared times 3 times 7. So I squared now times square root of 21. And then remember, I squared is equal to negative 1. So your final answer now is negative square root of 21. This is your final answer. Now, let's go to complex numbers. So what is the complex numbers? We have the complex numbers, which consist of the real number, which is a plus vi. We have the real number, real parts, and imaginary, we have imaginary parts. This one will be the real number, this one will be the imaginary number. Remember, when you're going to multiply again, so you're going to add the exponent. And then remember as well, we are going to use now the FOIL method, which is the first, the outer, we have the inner, and then the last term when you are going to multiply. Let's try some examples. For example, we have 4 plus 3i times 2 minus 5i. So using the FOIL method, we can have now as 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times negative 5i, so that is 20i, 3 times 2, that is equals to positive 6i, and then 3 times negative, so that is negative 15i times I, which is I squared. So we can combine now 8, this one is equals to negative 14i, and then minus 15 times negative 1, which is I squared is equals to negative 1. So therefore we will have now 8 minus 14i plus 15. So your final answer now will give us 23 minus 14i. So this one now will be your final answer. Okay, another example. Let's say we have 3 plus 6i times 4 plus 2i. Again, FOIL method will be the first, which is 3 times 4 is 12. The second, which is 3 times 2, which is 6 times I. Next one, we have 6 times 4 is 24i. And then 6 times we have 2, which is 12. This one is I. 12 and then I squared. So therefore, we will have now as 12 plus 30i minus 12, because this one is considered as I squared is equals to negative, we have 1, and then negative 1 times 12 is equals to negative 12. So your answer now is equals to 30i, which is this one, and this one will become 0. Okay, that's all for this video. Thank you so much